Okay, the rise of AI, the data revolution, the government push could all drive a decadal opportunity in India's domestic data center business. To talk more about it, we have Sunil Gupta, co-founder, MD, CEO at Yota Infrastructure, and we also have the analyst of Elara with us, Harshit Kapadia. Thank you, gentlemen, both of you, for joining in. Let me take off from the last point that my colleague Vamakshi left it at. Jefferies believes the data center capacity in India will hit 17,000 megawatt by FY23. So the first question is, if you could just tell us, Mr. Gupta, what is the current size right now and how much is already in the work? 17,000 may be the opportunity, but right now the plans are in place to hit what by which year?
So yeah, good morning, everybody. So Indian data center industry, which was just about 200 to 300 megawatt till about 2013-14, got a big fillip when hyperscalers came into India, and suddenly all the other tailwinds like growth of e-commerce, growth of mobile penetration, fiber penetration, everything started growing big time. Cloud adoption became a very, very big thing at that time. From that time to now, the current Indian data center size has already become about 1200 megawatt. It is expected to become double based on announced capacities and the capacities which are under construction. It is expected to become about 2000 megawatt by 2027. And based on the projections by 2030, this capacity is expected to become about 3000 megawatt. Now, there is a delta between this 3000 megawatt and 17,000, and that delta is coming because of the artificial intelligence, generative artificial intelligence push, which is coming on the top of this 3000 megawatt, which was supposed to be based on enterprise workloads and cloud services.
Right, Sunil, hi, morning. Harshit, morning. What is the sort of operational capacity at your company, at Yota?
So we have operational capacity which is about more than 100 megawatt right now, spread across our campuses in Delhi and Mumbai. And the way we did it is we sort of anticipated this growth which is going to come up in the next couple of years for hyperscalers or otherwise. And we took a campus approach so that the same campus which today possibly have 50 megawatt can be scaled to, let's say, 700 megawatt in future, just by keeping on adding up more data centers in the same campus.
So when you say, in terms of tenancy of these data centers, is this, when you say hyperscalers, you mean for cloud providers, right?
Yes.
Or is it more co-location where, a company builds a data center and then kind of sort of, rents out the space? So in India, which segment will grow, and how do you see that going? Yeah.
So essentially, both the segments are growing. The way we divide as the industry, the market is one is co-location and second is the cloud and managed services on the top of that. The industry which is growing very, very big in the last couple of years is co-location market, where you are building up large capacities, and lease out the space with power and cooling, and somebody else like a hyperscale cloud operator or large enterprises, or let's say GCCs, they will come and they will put their hardware and software and essentially the IT in your data center. Essentially, data center operators acting as co-location. However, some of the legacy players who have been operating for last 20 years or so, as well as my own company, Yotta, we adopted a model where besides giving wholesale and retail co-location, we also build our own sovereign clouds. We are delivering a whole lot of managed services, and recent foray, which is known by Yotta, is on GPUs to give GPU on as a service model. Now that is something which is coming on the top of co-location. So in the same building, if you want to adopt that hybrid model, you can offer wholesale co-location to hyperscale cloud operators. You can give retail co-location to enterprise customers, and you can also have a capacity reserve which can be used to deliver your sovereign cloud, AI GPUs, and other managed services.
Okay, all right. Hi, Sunil. Good morning, and thanks a lot for joining in. Give us, a couple of reference points then. The cost, I believe, to set up a data center is around 60 to 70 crores per megawatt. Would that be a decent number to work with?
Yes. In case we take data center at a co-location level, that is the right number, right?
Okay, all right. So what is then the payback period? What kind of returns do you expect? And, by when will it break even if you're going to be spending 60 to 70 crores odd per megawatt?
So essentially, it's so much depends on the fill factor also. So many times, if you're lucky, you are able to get an anchor customer even before your data center goes live. So your paybacks become as early as 2.5 to 3 years also. But in case you are making a speculative bid and you want to have enterprise customers who will be coming in only after the building has gone live, and they'll be giving you retail business and not really a very wholesale business. The payback period can extend to 4 or 5 years. On this investment around 60 to 70 crore per megawatt of IT load, the returns typically are around, I'm talking in dollar terms, around $80 to $100 per kilowatt per month. So if we just do the math, this is something which can give you a reasonable return of around 12 to 18%.
Harshit, come in on the discussion, right? Vamakshi told us that there are many ways to play this entire boom. There are genset manufacturer, transformers, capital goods. Which companies, according to you, are best placed to take advantage?
Morning. So on the capital goods side, which is largely related to do with electrical systems, we have Siemens, we have ABB. So every product has a different company to play with. So if I want to play gensets, probably Cummins is the best play on the genset side, followed by Kirloskar engines. And there are some unlisted players as well. On the switchgear side or substation side, we have ABB, Siemens, Schneider, but part of the Schneider is also unlisted. The listed entity is largely into medium voltage switchgears. That's how, and Hitachi Energy in terms of substation related work. So these are the companies that one could benefit. On transformers specifically, we have Voltam transformers on the distribution side, followed by Crompton, ABB, and Siemens. So these are largely MNCs who dominate the space on the gensets, on the data center side.
Sunil, just one sort of question. For example, I was listening to this interview by the NVIDIA CEO, Jensen Huang, right? And he was talking about how their next chip, right, is going to essentially replace data centers. I mean, all of the processors in a data center, because it's going to be so powerful. And when we talk a chip, we usually imagine like a small little thing. It's not. I mean, it's a big thing. It costs, I think he said about $200 million. But he said it is going to be so cost efficient that it's going to over his lifetime. Just the cost of copper wires in the data center will be more than this. I mean, what the chip will do for you over the life of its operation. Technologically, is it all settled, or will we see a revolution, or is it only evolution? Just wanted to get a quick sense.
I think the market is changing dynamically. Right now, we can clearly see that the traditional workloads which were there in our professional and I would say personal life till date, the ERPs or the e-commerce applications, websites, email servers, for majority of the use cases which we have in our lives till date are getting served by CPU-based servers before the advent of AI and more specifically generative AI. Now, in case of generative AI, you are actually training the machines with a huge amount of data so that the machine based on some algorithm, becomes artificially intelligent and start making decisions for you or start doing some creations for you.
Sunil, sorry, since we have, my question was, will what data centers right now look at typically? Will they change dramatically? So a lot of what is riding as opportunity, will it all be there, or because the technology itself will change in terms of how you store data and you don't need these huge things? So I'm just, go on.
In terms of the capacity, it is being said by various people that whatever capacity which worldwide has been put in for data center for traditional loads will become at least double, which means AI will present as much more capacity opportunity for data centers. While in India, we are talking about from 3,000 megawatt to, I just now heard from your program that somebody has also talked about 17,000, but nobody is able to actually assess that once this huge number of GPUs and a widespread adoption of AI starts happening in our life, what type of growth data centers will see. But it is very sure that whatever capacity of data centers have been built in India or worldwide, you will see at least double or triple of that capacity coming in purely because of artificial intelligence. Number one. Number two, the type of data centers we are making today, which are essentially on a per unit of a rack cabinet, you are giving, let's say 6 to 8 kilowatt of power, you will end up giving 50 kilowatt, 100 kilowatt or more power per rack. Essentially, the data center will become very, very dense. The technology, the engineering which we are using to give power to the equipment and also, and more importantly, to cool this equipment will change dramatically. Just to give you an idea, we are using some sort of a cooling called air-based cooling, which will basically change to a water-based cooling where you're taking water right next to the chip, maybe putting water right on the chip or immersing the chip into the water itself or some sort of a liquid, so that the heat can be extracted as early as possible. So the data centers, while as on today, industry worldwide is trying to retrofit the current data centers to handle these chips, but the data centers of tomorrow, which Jensen is calling as AI factories, will be very, very different, which will be purpose-made for the purpose of handling these chips, where the technologies, especially the cooling technologies, will be very, very different from what we are using today.
I got that. And we're talking about coolants, right? Is that we had the management of Gulf Oil lubricants in the morning, and they were telling us that right now it's very small. I mean, it's a new technology, it's emerging, but maybe it'll. But you're saying it's an established technology and it's much more efficient as compared to air conditioning, right? That's
yeah.
Yeah.
So for as I said, that majority of the data center, the widespread, most commercially used technology is still air-based cooling.
Yeah.
There are new technologies which are emerging where you are still taking water right close to the chip, possibly
Sure.
putting some cooling plate and then doing, but you are not actually immersing the chip into the water or some sort of liquid itself. The new technology which you are talking about is where you are dipping the chip into a liquid itself. Now that technology is evolving. People are using proofs of concept. They are doing some pilots. They are putting their CPU servers in that, but NVIDIA is yet to certify putting in their GPU into that liquid. So the chip which is going to use the maximum amount of power and which require most amount of cooling is yet to be certified for those liquids. But what I understand from my discussions with various players, including NVIDIA, that some sort of the certifications and that the testing work is on. My personal feeling is that is the technology which will take over, because to cool that amount of heat generated by GPUs, the best way is to actually dip the chips into that liquid itself, so that the heat can be extracted right then and there.
All right. A lot more questions, but no time. But so what we'll do is we'll make this part one of our discussion on data centers, and we'll have both of you back soon again to talk about this evolving new market. Not new, but evolving market. Sunil and Harshit, great speaking with both of you here. Thank you very much for joining us here on CNBC TV 18.